What is going on, everyone? My name is Holland Football, and today I'll be bringing you my first installation of the division previews that I'll be doing throughout the rest of August. I'm starting off the AFC East, then going on to the AFC North, AFC South, AFC West, and then doing the same with the NFC. So make sure you stay tuned for those previews. Should be uploaded every other day or so. So without further ado, let's start up the AFC East. I will be talking about none other than the team that wins it every year, the New England Patriots. They ended last season on a rocky note, losing in Mile High against the Broncos, which a lot of people say was due to their kicker, Steve Miskowski, missing an extra point. So that was a tough way for Patriots fans to see their season end, but we'll have to see what they can do this year. Obviously, you had the whole Deflategate extravaganza again this offseason. I'm sure everybody's sick and tired of hearing about it. I know I am. Garoppolo will be starting the first 4 games. Again, this isn't news to anybody. So they're facing at Arizona, versus Miami, versus Houston, versus Buffalo in those 4 games. I say they go 3-1. I say they'll definitely lose at Arizona. I think they would lose at Arizona even if Brady was there. They're looking really good this year, and I think the Dolphins, Texans, and Bills, I think they're all beatable teams, especially at Gillette, so I have them going 3-1 in that stretch. A big concern for me in the offense right now is the health of Dion Lewis. He is not practicing in training camp thus far, so we'll have to see what Dion Lewis and what his timetable is for return to the playing field, because he's actually a big part of that offense. If you're a Patriots fan, you saw this dude play for the first half of last year before he got hurt. You can tell how versatile he is and how important he is to this offense. I think that he would be a key piece to have for the Patriots, and it's too bad he might not be ready for Week 1. I think Garoppolo could really use a guy like that to rely on in the backfield. The rest of their offense should remain the same. I mean, it's pretty much the same every year. Same system, same format. So that should keep on being one of the top offenses in the NFL, no doubt. And looking on at their defense, he lost Chandler Jones in the offseason of the Cardinals. That should hurt a little bit, but this defense is still extremely underrated in my opinion. Jamie Collins, Dante Hightower, both near elite guys are floating around that elite level, and Logan Ryan and Malcolm Butler, their 2 corners. They are very underrated. I think they do their jobs very well, and they contribute large amounts to how good this Patriots defense is. I'd say it's easily a top 10 defense, floating around that top 5 range. We'll have to see what they can do this year, but a big concern I have for their defense, Rob Ninkovich, Chris Long are their pass rushers. I don't think that is quite good enough, especially with some of the elite pass rushers in the NFL nowadays. I'm not a big Ninkovich fan, and I'm not a big Chris Long fan either. So, so they need to improve on their pass rushers, in my opinion. But the rest of their defense looks pretty solid. They're playing the AFC North and NFC West this year. 2 games I picked out in their schedule I really like to see. They're going to Pittsburgh, and they're facing Seattle in Gillette Stadium. I cannot wait for that game. That is going to be a very fun game to watch. And I have them finishing in first place, going 12-4. I think people and Patriots fans especially, are really blowing this Garoppolo deal out of proportion. I think Garoppolo should at the very least go 2-2, so it's not like he's going to ruin their whole season by having Brady suspended for 4 games. And I've got them going 12-4, so they'll probably get a bye as well. So, and if you're curious, the losses I have them taking are at Arizona, which won the first 4-game stretch, at Pittsburgh, at the Jets, and versus the Ravens. So those are the 4 losses I have. On to the New York Jets. The Jets also got their hearts broken last year. If you remember losing to Buffalo, that kind of sucked. They were 1 win away from the playoffs. He kind of choked. Brandon Marshall, one of my favorite players in the NFL. Unfortunately, he has not made the playoffs. I don't even know if he's made it in his career. I know he hasn't in a long time. If he hasn't, that's unfortunate to see. But over the offseason, the Jets strengthened up their running back position with guys like Matt Forte, Kyrie Robinson, and they already have Bilal Powell. Obviously, they lost Chris Ivory, but this is a very solid backfield that the Jets fans can look forward to. And Obviously, they were in the news a lot for re-signing Ryan Fitzpatrick, Muhammad Wilkerson as well. So that's good that they got those deals done. They're two very important players. He lost to Brickshaw Ferguson over the offseason to retirement. He's going to be replaced by Ryan Clady. I'm not a big fan of that switch. Obviously, it's not their choice, but Brickshaw Ferguson was definitely a big part of their offense, and it's too bad he went on to retirement. But looking at their defense, they got two monsters up front, Leonard Williams, Muhammad Wilkerson. You cannot put a price tag on how good those guys are. Especially Leonard Williams only going to his second year. That's pretty crazy. Muhammad Wilkerson's still young. They should continue to develop and continue to improve, which is pretty scary to think about. And then obviously you got the aging veteran Darrelle Revis as cornerback. Feels weird even saying veteran with that guy. But he should continue to be a top cornerback in the league, even if he is not at his prime anymore. I think losing Antonio Cromartie is a big problem. I think him as a number 2 corner was like the best number 2 corner you can get. And I think Buster Skrine might be moving over to that slot, so the number 2 corner slot. So we'll have to see what he can do. I'm not the biggest Buster Skrine fan. And they drafted Darren Lee in the first round. I don't think he'll make an immediate impact. Not a big Darren Lee fan, but and Jets fans, I recommend that you put this video on mute for a few seconds because I'm going to read off the tough schedule that they have to start the year. This is brutal stuff. You have to face Cincinnati, at Buffalo, at Kansas City, versus Seattle, at Pittsburgh, at Arizona. So you're looking at around probably a 2-4, maybe 3-3 if they're lucky type start. The Seahawks aren't always good in the beginning of the year, so maybe they can get upset there. At Buffalo is a winnable game. The Bengals, always great in the regular season. So, it's a very tough schedule. I have them going 2-4 in that stretch. I just think that is a very tough schedule to start off. So, my apologies to Jets fans. But I have them finishing off 9-7. That's not that bad considering the start that they have, but yeah, they're missing the playoffs. It broke my heart to not put them in the playoffs this year, but it's just the way it is. On to the Buffalo Bills. Coach Rex Ryan on the hot seat this year after a disappointing first year last year. Over the offseason, lost Leotis McKelvin and Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin retired, so those are two fairly big losses, but with Leotis McKelvin, that secondary should still look very strong with Stephen Gilmore and Ronald Darby back there, two very good cornerbacks. Now that Cromartie's out of the division, I'd say they are definitely the top 2 cornerbacks, or best 1-2 punch in the division. Marcel Dares, Jerry Hughes, those guys are great up front as well. This defense is definitely arguably the best in the AFC East, especially with a Rex Ryan defensive mastermind. But the big question, like last year, is on the offense. I'm a big fan of Tyrod Taylor. I think a few years, if he continues to develop in that starting job, he'll easily be a top 15 quarterback. I think a lot of people have him in the top 15 already. And LaShawn McCoy, they're going to have to rely on him a little bit more this year. I believe Carlos Williams a 4-game suspension. Sammy Watkins, we don't even know what his status will be for week 1. So there are a lot of question marks with this offense, but I believe that this offense will be similar to last year. Not a whole lot changes with the Bills. I have them going 8-8. So I'm sorry to all Bills fans, but their playoff drought will not end this year, or it will continue this year is what I mean. Sorry about that. And looking on to the Miami Dolphins, oh yeah, by the way, I have Rex Ryan getting fired at the end of the year. I just don't see him making it out of this year alive. Going 8-8, 500 is not good enough, especially with how hungry the Bills fans are. Miami Dolphins, I am not a big fan of Miami Dolphins, or I don't have anything personal against them, but I really do not like Ryan Tannehill to put it right out there. I think that guy is kind of a tool, and he's kind of one of those quarterbacks who you're going to have for like 10 years, and he's going to be really consistent, and everybody's going to be like, oh, he's about to break out of his shell. And he's never going to do it. So I think the Dolphins should look for a backup quarterback plan in the next year's draft or something like that, because the current state of the Dolphins is not good enough. I like the hire of Adam Gase. I think he was the best coach to hire during this offseason that doesn't have a job already. I think most people agree with me with that. But even bringing in Gase, they did lose a lot in free agency. Lost Lamar Miller, Olivier Vernon, and Brent Grimes, 3 guys that were very big keys to their team last year. So we're kind of seeing a bit of a culture switch to this Dolphins team with the Gase era beginning. They added Arian Foster, though, so who knows? That guy might give you 3 weeks, and then he'll be out for the season. So they're going to have to rely a little bit on Jay Ajayi and Kenyon Drake to pick up the load to a rookie and a sophomore guy. The rest of their offense, Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry. Those are 2 guys. Jarvis Landry is an elite slot guy in this league. I think he's great at what he does. He had over 100 catches last year. Should continue to even get better. He's still very young. Devontae Parker, I think he is going to have a breakout season. I really do. I think this guy will, in a few years from now, will be one of those top 10 guys that kind of like a Julio Jones type guy. Not quite on his level, but near that elite status in a few years from now. I think either this year or the next year he'll have that breakout season that he needs. Big question mark for them, though, is their offensive line. It's a little bit shaky to date, and I hear Laramie Tunsil is still not listed as a starter on the depth chart or not starting in training camp, so we'll have to see what the situation is on that. And then looking onto their defense, obviously I mentioned they lost Olivier Vernon and Brent Grimes. That should hurt, but they still got the rich man Ndamukong on their defensive line. Cameron Wake, he's 34 years old. He'll probably break down soon enough, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I'd say the Dolphins easily have the worst defense in the AFC East this year, and I have them going 6-10. So I think the Dolphins are going to have to find some superstars that they can put into this team, because I'm just looking at their roster. They do not have enough talent to compete with the Bills, the Jets, and the Patriots. I just don't see it with them this year. I mean, the Bills and the Jets and the Patriots have extremely good defenses. The Dolphins cannot match even with Ndamukong. And you could argue that they even have you could say they have the worst quarterback in the AFC East, basically, depending on how you view Ryan Fitzpatrick. Tyrod Taylor, I believe, will surpass Tannehill this year as well. So I think things need to change for the Dolphins, and Adam Gase stepping into his first head coach job is not going to turn everything around in 1 year. Sorry to say, Dolphins fans, but that concludes my AFC East preview. Please comment down below your opinion, what you think of this preview. Tell me what your predictions are. But basically got the Patriots going to the playoffs in the division, and that's it. I mean, that's really no surprise to anyone. I wanted to go out on a limb and say the Jets were going to win a wild card spot, but after looking at that schedule, man, I just don't see it. I mean, you got good teams in the AFC West and the AFC North this year, so you're going to need at least 10-6 to make that wild card spot. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Once again, comment down your predictions below. I'll make sure to respond to that. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. So thank you all for watching. Until next time.